Peace and welcome to Earth Crowns. Today I'm going to be making an instructional tutorial, so I will be showing a crown, and I will be working specifically on this one crown style that I posted up on my page that many women have been inquiring about. They would like to see how I did it, even though they have their own ideas of how I did it, and so I just want to show it so that whoever wants to go ahead and pick that up, go ahead. And it's called Silver Lake Crown, and I chose the name because of the colors. I wanted to start. I usually just start with something, and I wanted to today discuss this one article that I posted up on my page Earth Crowns on Facebook, which discussed this law that was enacted under British rule of specifically the Louisiana state, where black women, specifically referring to African American women, were not allowed to be seen in public or carry in public their natural hair. It was outlawed for black women to show their hair in public, and so this law made sure that women didn't do so. And so my question that I have, because the article doesn't touch upon that, is if this affected Native American women that were living in that area, if there were any living in that area, and who we today know as Mexicans, who fall under the bracket of Latino, right? So-called Latino people. And so, I wonder how that manifested, and if there were laws specifically targeting the women, and if so, with dress code, things related to dress code, hair too, because to me, these women do also fall under the black umbrella, under that bracket. And so I'm really interested in knowing that, if there is any research at all. But this essay was really great. It touched upon that. It actually relates to this one piece that I had written on my blog, and I'll post this under the video once it's uploaded. And it's called The Science of Three Fourths, and it goes through many different things, specifically detailing how before the standard of beauty became, right, what we see as blonde hair and blue eyes and really thin, frail body, right, with no curves, right? We tend to admire the skinnier you look, the better you look, the more you can hide your curves, right? And it's interesting because this also translates to the hair. The straighter you make it, right, the more comfortable you feel once you walk into society, because that is no longer the standard, curly hair and all these things. And so, I go through how really was set the model, the stage before these, these things came about today in modern society, where you see what I just mentioned. It was really black women that set the standard for which European society was modeled after, including dress code, including headdresses and hairstyles. And so it was very interesting to read about this, and I just want to know more about how that fits into modern day so-called Latina women. And I know this specifically because coming from two different contexts of colonizers, meaning coming from the so-called Dominican Republic, which was dominated by the Spanish, into a British ruled country like the U.S., right? Really, or for better terms, the mainstream is British values that we see in this country. And so, with these two things playing, and there's also this great book called Slave and Citizen, written by Frank Tannenbaum, and he details the differences between, specifically referring to the slave and how slavery developed, and the social aspects of slavery, as well as obviously, right, the economic and all these other aspects of slavery. But what he does is that he shows us how slavery manifested and what was really different, right? There is something to say between right, the way the Spanish, the way the Portuguese set up and developed their slave systems, right? And then he also touches upon France and English and the Dutch. And he goes through all these, and the research is astounding because and this leads me to an idea about when you look at Spain had already a lot of had a black presence with the Moors there already, and so they were also genetically, even though they try to hide it with the Inquisitions, right? A lot of Moors, a lot of Jews were forced to convert to Christianity and hide their true identity because of the Inquisition in Spain, trying to get rid of any ethnic blood, and it was like during their time ethnic cleansing. So my understanding on this is that if you look at all these, how white ethnics treated and set up their slave systems, it's very revealing to the level of blackness that was already in their culture. Being that the British had the least contact with original people, with black people, it makes sense that their slave systems were much rigid than the Spanish. And so then you see laws like this, like the laws prohibiting women to have their natural hair out, where in places like places that were colonized by Spain, you might have slaves that were using the drum. They were not taken, their drum was not taken away. And I'm taking this idea from the drum. We were talking about that yesterday, one of my sisters and I. And so yeah, I kind of just want to leave it at that, and I want to start with the head wrap, okay, with the silver lake crown, and I'm gonna be using 2 scarves. I have here this kind of like teal, dark green rectangular scarf. That's gonna be my base, and I have this silverish or grayish shimmery scarf, and it's also rectangular. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to place this base scarf here, and I'm gonna make sure that my tails are the same length. It's a little bit off, and they are okay. And I'm just gonna move this a little bit to the front, pull this a little to the back, and I am going to tuck. Okay, I'm tying it at the back, and if it's a little, right, and I'm just gonna pull this back so that it could be neat in the front here. I don't want it clumped up in the front, and I'm gonna keep these tails because I'm gonna use them. Now the second step that I will take is I'm going to bring the shimmery, and I'm gonna place it diagonal, right? So this is my left, it will be your right. So I'm placing it, the front of the diagonal part is on my left, your right. And I'm gonna bring it to the back. I'm not gonna tie it in the back. I'm just gonna loop it. I looped it in the back like that. Okay, and I should have made sure that my tails are the same length again. I want to make sure they are. Just move this a little bit more back to make them equal. Okay, and now they are. Okay, so let me loop this again. Okay, bring this front a little bit, and now I have 4 tails. Okay, now the first thing I will do is I'm going to bring my left, your right, the shimmery tail. I'm bringing it up towards my right side, but it would be your left side. Okay, and I will be using the teal color, right? And I'm going to loop, I am going to loop the scarf, the shimmery, and I will bring the green up and I will tuck it in like here on the side somewhere, okay? And this will be hidden later. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna open this up, right? Because what I'm really doing is just creating like a bow effect, okay? It's 2 bows. You can just do one if that's what interests you, but for mine it's like a lower bow, okay? And then I'm gonna tuck in the fringes somewhere, and that's my daughter in the background if you hear any noise. Okay, so I tucked it in, and there is kind of like the first bow. Okay, I'm spreading it out a little bit. Now what I'm doing next is I'm bringing in the shimmery, right, from my right, your left, up to the other side. Okay, and there was the tag was there, so I just took it off. And right, if you notice, I covered the teal that was there, right? Move this a little bit more back, and I'm bringing in again the teal scarf, and I am going to loop it, right? I looped it, and I'm going to just bring this up and tuck it in there. And I do kind of want some of the teal to show up in up here, so I didn't mind that. And now I'm just gonna move this up a little bit more. Okay, spread this out, and now I'm gonna spread this out. Okay, and I'm gonna tuck it in, and I'm gonna tuck it in into my hair. Okay, I finished tucking it in. Okay, I finished that, and what I'm gonna do now is just fix the crown. Make sure that, right, I made 2 bows, one low, one up a little bit more high, and spread out the sides to kind of make that bow effect happen. Okay, and it looks pretty good. And if some of the fringes are a little bit loose in the back, it doesn't matter, it'll just add more of an effect to the crown. I'm gonna finish off the wrap with these earrings. I think I've used them before, and I use them with things, silverish scarves and things like that. So I'm gonna turn around so that you get a full view of the crown and how it turned out. Okay, and this is the bow. Okay, and this is the other bow. So I hope that you liked the tutorial and that you're able to use some of these things. Okay, like I could go on forever, just play around with this, but it looks good like this. Yeah, and if you want, you don't have to do 2 bows. You don't have to do this one. Like sometimes I'll leave this one out and just concentrate on 1 bow on the actual scarf, and that's on my actual head, and that's my daughter. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you found it useful. So thank you, and peace.